This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio is brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Centre, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. And Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Yes.
Peace and love.
Welcome to the show, Outdoor Journal Radio, the podcast. Peter Bowman, I'm Angelo Veilleaux, and the rest of the assembly.
The good-looking team that we have.
They'll introduce themselves later on. Is it my imagination?
Yes, sir, it is.
It is?
Yes. What are you imagining me?
Right,
Me without clothes sitting here?
That's all I need to know.
Come on now.
Because I noticed our guest, special guest today is Melanie Veilleaux, another female angler, outdoors person. We had one recently on the show, didn't
Catherine?
we? Catherine Maroon, yeah.
Yes.
So
maybe Dean's, they're all calling, he is an attractive package,
he
right?
is,
So
I
they're
don't
probably
get it.
all calling him up
Like,
and saying, Dean, can
if I had a daughter of marrying age, I would just like push her right into that corner, into his web.
Dean, how would you feel about that as your father-in-law right there?
Oh, wouldn't that be
Yeah,
great,
that'd
Dean?
be a tough spot. It's like conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest for sure.
You'd be running pretty quick, young man. You would, all of that time you spent in the gym would come in handy, trust me.
I love it. That's awesome.
That is an awful thing, though, eh?
What's that?
It is an awful thing. Now, you won't experience it because you have two sons.
Boys, yeah.
But that's an awful, it just dawned on me, making that, I think I'm joking, right? But I'm not joking.
Well, you're very protective of your
It's
of
an
your
awful
girls, right?
thing when you have daughters. Now, fortunately for me, they're all, grown up and then they have kids and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it was stressful.
I bet you it would be. It has to be.
Because
it's funny
that
yeah.
we're guys, we are absolute morons at that age, at that young age. Like you know nothing, but you claim to know everything.
Yeah.
And when that urge strikes, oh my God, it's awful. Mm-hmm. It's an awful thing. Anyways, just thought I would. You didn't go through that though, Dean, right?
No, I've been like this forever.
Dean's smart.
Yeah,
Dean's
didn't
been
you say-
smart. Like he's always been smart. Just ask him.
Yeah.
He told me one time, I don't know what prompted it, but
Here we go.
I don't know what we were talking about. And he looked at me and said, no, even as a kid, I was always very serious.
It's true.
Anyways,
great.
wonderful show.
That's great.
Melanie is general manager at Hearst Air, which is an iconic operation in
Yes.
Northern Ontario. It's been around longer than we have. And it's truly one of those wonderful Canadian brands.
Yeah.
When you think
Agreed.
of Hearst Air, like that's it, man. You're going out to the backwoods.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's
and
what
family owned, handed down, generation to generation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful place. So we're going to talk to her later on about some of the opportunities that they have. It's not a lodge operation; it's fly-in, and they
Outpost camps.
Outpost camps. So they fly you in, drop you off, and then pick you up 3, 5, 7, 10 days later.
Yeah.
And truly an adventure. We've had the opportunity to work with them on several occasions. Several episodes that you've watched on the Fishing Canada show have originated from Hearst Air. So we'll get into all that with Melanie here in a few moments. But first, Mr. Bowman.
Yes,
there we go.
Oh, look at that up there, huh?
Oh my!
So
I'm liking the look of that.
what that is
Sid.
that's the original Fishing Canada hat, circa mid-'80s,
What does circa mean?
from the mid-'80s.
Why did you say from?
I like circa. I like to show you how, how I...
That's one of those words that I hate. Circa. It just, you know how you get these words?
I want you to know that I'm a thespian. Okay?
I know a couple of thespians. Oh my God.
I just wanted you to know that. And they have reproduced it. So that's available now at the store. That's the original Fishing Canada logoed hat.
Come on
has
now.
now been
much
brought
awesome.
back and reproduced.
I
So,
like.
for a limited time only, I'm told. But it's available
Is
at...
there one with stickers, one without? Is that what that is for the young lads? They like to keep those things on, don't they? Nowadays, those little sticker things. They seem to have that, and they have that tag hanging off the back, and that.
Yeah.
It's a look.
It's a look.
It's a thing.
There's a bunch of
Those
bullshit.
damn
It's a bunch of
thespians. I don't
bullshit.
know how they can wear that stuff.
Anyways, that and much more all available at the store, shop.fishingcanada.com
Yes,
or
sir.
fishingcanada.com and just push the
Just
store
like the
button.
stuff we're wearing here.
Stuff we're wearing. I put
Like-
my
You got that
rainbow
style? I got
trout.
this style.
my rainbow trout on today.
Micus.
Who?
Uncle Runkus. Micus.
Micus. Oh, that guy.
My kiss. It says my kiss. The very thing at the very bottom of your shirt says my kiss. Did your honey get you that?
Yeah, maybe.
My kiss. You got to give her a little kissy.
Yeah,
Nice.
or my wife. One of the two got it for her. I can't remember which one. So,
Nice.
where were we? Listener feedback, Mr. Bowman, comes to us from Tightlines-D7T
Actually, I love these handles. They're great.
via YouTube.
These are great. In response to our talk on the fishless Elliott Lake Ice Fishing Derby. So we talked about this. Right there, that's right there. 182 anglers skunked, but you still got great prizes. And
They're
they had
only
a great
3
time.
hours. It was only a 3-hour derby, though.
It was a small little derb.
Yeah. But you think they would have caught one?
Yeah. But anyways, super surprising and alarming to hear about this ice fishing derby up in the Elliott Lake area. We have a fishing hunting camp as well as family living up there. The kids and myself have caught some of the most amazing fish in this area: bass, salmon, steelhead, trout, pike, etc.
Wow.
This area is always an amazing destination and never disappoints. If you're willing to drive for 5 or 6 hours after work on a Friday, LOL, visit Elliott Lake /Algoma, Ontario. Thumbs up.
Come on now.
Emoji. Well, you know what?
So-
that's the first time we've ever heard of something like this. And the skunking, you know what I mean? It is a good area for fishing.
I
It's a-
thought, how could you not catch a bass, a
Walter.
perch or
Perch, yeah.
something during
Yep.
that? But now I see bass, salmon, steelhead, trout, pike, et cetera, and then not a one of them would bite.
Maybe Tightline's got them all, him and the family.
Oh, that's a
Hey,
possibility.
pretty good, eh?
We were not trying to poo-poo on Elliott Lake, by the
No,
way.
it's
That's
news.
kind of
It's
the way it came across. We found
A
it
surprising news
fascinating
piece, yeah.
that a wonderful lake like that, that whole area is a wonderful
Yeah,
fishery.
anytime we fish up there, we crack them.
God.
That's why we're so surprised. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's just an anomaly.
It was that weird that we had to talk about it. I
wasn't
still
anything
can't
bad.
believe it. Even though it was 3 hours, almost 200 lines were poking down through that ice. 200 of those. And those damn fish avoided every single one of them.
Smart fish. out
Holy
there.
mackerel.
We did have some people who wrote in, though. I think they didn't like our coverage. And I think they had fished the event, too, and they wanted to emphasize that it poured all day.
Poured rain.
So they just wanted to say that.
Yeah, well.
Did they were they pissed off with us the way we?
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't like that we highlighted it. I think it was people in the event, and maybe we made people look bad or something.
No,
I
it's not what
think
we were. Our,
nice.
our intent was not at all.
it
That
was-
just, to be in that area of the world, and a great fishing area, and just to have that happen, it's an anomaly. It's weird.
I'll make them feel better. If this had happened on Lake Scugog, for example, we wouldn't have even brought it up.
That's right.
Why? Because let's be honest about it. Compared to Elliott Lake area, you can't compare the two fisheries. We were shocked that this would happen there. We wouldn't be shocked if it happened on a Lake Scugog or anything like that, right? So that's why we brought it up.
Yeah.
Because it's such a tremendous fishery that 183 lines. All I got is this picture looking, under from the bottom of the lake, looking up at that ice sheet with 183 lines with wiggling little worms on the end or minnows, and those damn fish are down there, huddled down there, laughing at her, saying, "They're not going to."
No, you didn't. Oh God, yeah. There's nothing against the area. That's in the Algoma region, and I think, as most people know, we high five the Algoma region each and every year at multiple times because it's so good, including the Elliott Lake, including Sault Ste. Marie, including all that Lausanne, all that area around there. Sturgeon, all that stuff.
I'll tell you what they don't have up there. They don't need to worry about
is
grass carp Okay.
That's why you didn't catch any. See, they were
Okay.
there.
They don't have any grass carp up there to worry about. We do.
Yeah, we do
So
have
there
to
you
worry
go.
about that.
Grass carp, one of the 4 species of Asian carp. By the way, it's brought to you by the Invasive Species Centre, in case you were wondering, in case you didn't know. Because they want us to continually remind everybody about this possibility. The possibility is that the grass carp, which, by the way, although they haven't taken hold in our waters, there has been evidence to prove that they are here. There are some non-breeding fish here, but they would like us to be a little more vigilant, and that is know what the character looks like.
Yeah. So of the 4 species, I'll ask Dean and Angelo this: are grass carp the worst threat going, do you think?
I don't know, but it's probably the one that's the most threat right now
It's a
because
bad
it's the one
threat
that's
for
coming
sure.
in, right?
I know the silvers, right? Those are silvers that I think those are the ones that are jumping all the time.
And they
the
were,
rivers and all
there was
that.
not that long ago that there was word that they were getting close to getting in.
Yeah, well, they're in Illinois, like everywhere. I know they
Right.
have it
That's-
really bad.
that
That's
big-
right
yeah,
here,
there's
pretty
big
much.
dams they're talking about. putting
That
those
one's
big
more of
dams
a
in.
health issue because they could knock people out
Knock
of a
the
boat.
shit out of you. It's
That's
unreal when
crazy.
you see that. But
nuts.
I'm just wondering, of the 4 species, I bet you grass carp probably, well, I don't know. I mean, I think silver carp probably the same thing. They'd probably be a herbivore. And
Perhaps. What I do know is that the grass carp can consume up to 40% of its body weight every day in
You
vegetation.
knew that?
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
I'll tell you how, because I went to their site and went to asiancarp.ca.
So you're going to go to their
got
site
all-
next time and you're going to find out which is the most dangerous, if there is such an animal as most dangerous.
What are the other 2?
Well, there's the silver carp.
Yes.
The buffalo. Is the buffalo on there?
No, the big head.
Big head.
Big head.
And there's another one. What's another one?
I don't know. You brought it up. Wasn't me. I thought you'd know.
Well, no.
See,
I'm asking- I'm
I knew
asking.
about the 40%. That's why I brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it's the black carp, isn't it?
Yes, maybe something like that.
I don't know.
But
I'll tell
anyway.
you what, we should all be going to the asiancarp.ca.
Shame on us right now for not
right
knowing.
now
It is the
and,
black carp.
change
Black
that.
Dean knows, so Dean knows. Our producer
Dean knows everything.
Dean knows. So we just have to make sure Dean's in the boat with us every time we go.
Come on now.
Knows everything.
Yeah. He was smart. He was a very serious kid.
Oh, all his life he's
Yeah.
been serious.
He's been serious.
Where am I?
Asiancarp.ca.
asiancarp.ca. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's all I need to say about that.
We're going to go there too and brush up because, obviously we know the one, but we don't really know the rest. So, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
In the news, Mr. Bowman.
That's it.
Brought to you
In the
by
news.
the way, J&B Cycle and
Come on
Marine,
now.
right? You knew
James
that.
Cycle Marine. Well, I know that. I knew that. I know that we got a big day.
What else do you know about
We got a
them?
big day coming up with them in a couple of days here, just as a
That's
matter of
correct.
fact. So
but what
just-
else do you know about them?
Well, they're the largest dealer, Princecraft Mercury dealer in all of Ontario.
Maybe the world. For all
Maybe
we
the
know.
world, but
Maybe
I'm
the
not going to
world.
say that. You can say that. I'm not going to
Oh.
go on that limb. But I know for a fact that this beautiful province of Ontario,
Okay.
that they are the largest Princecraft Mercury dealer.
All right.
And they don't have just that. They have other lines of boats.
Of
They
course.
have all kinds of sport items like ATVs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Snowmobiles, obviously being up in Timmins, there's a lot of snow and Sudbury, but there's a lot of
Sudbury,
snowmobiling in those areas. So they have you covered if you want to play around a little bit.
J&B Cycle, or if you want to go to their website, it's JB, no and. Very confusing, eh? It was very confusing. I've always been confused about that.
You get confused every now and then, as a thespian.
Well, that's just it, right?
Yeah, that's
Because
the
I'm so
problem.
preoccupied being a thespian that I
Yes.
get confused a lot.
Yeah, circa back in the day when you weren't a thespian. Yes.
I haven't been all my life. Just something I recently...
You've kind of changed over.
well, it's some
Yeah,
recently.
little transformation happening in there.
JMBcycle.com is the
tell me.
site, by the way.
The story study conducted by Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. They looked at how clobazam, a drug commonly prescribed for sleep and anxiety disorders, affects juvenile Atlantic salmon. So over 1,000 active pharmaceutical substances have been found in global waterways. I don't know. How does this get in there to
Goes
begin with?
through the toilets.
I was
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it does.
Does the drug get dropped into the toilet because people are getting wasted, or you're peeing it out?
I think it's both. I think it's mostly that people are like discarding them into the toilet.
That's what I would
But
think.
it also, I've heard other stories, I don't know how true they are, about that it comes out of your pee as well.
They can't. That has to dilute it to a point of where it's not going to be even effective on anything, doesn't it?
According to the Swedes, that's not the
I'm
case.
going to start pissing in a jar and send it to them. I'm
You
gonna see.
should.
Okay, you tell me what my life is all about right here.
You should.
I might not like the answer.
You should. Anyways, over 1,000 active pharmaceutical substances have been found in global waterways. So it's not just a substance. Over 1,000 active pharmaceutical substances. But we have heard this before. I mean, there's been all kinds. There was one study that showed that fish were being affected by estrogen,
Yep.
which got into
Yes,
the
sir.
waterway.
They've focused on Atlantic salmon
Right.
in this study, but obviously, if it's in the water, every fish is around it and subject to it. Correct? And every mammal, everything that lives in the water would be subject to this. So they're just using Atlantic salmon, maybe.
I think we need to get into the study business. I'm enamored by these studies.
Are you?
Well, yeah, because I see a business there, right? I'm looking at it and I say, like, do we really need all these studies? No, the answer is no. But there's somebody who creates a reason for it, and it's a business. And therefore, next thing you know, we need to raise funds, and we need to,
So what are your credentials for, let's say, something like this? Aside from being a thespian, if you're...
Well, I distinctly remember grade 6 or grade 7.
Here we go.
I won,
What?
I think it's grade 6.
Spelling bee.
Well, no, I was bad at spelling bees. Oh, man, I ducked underneath the desk when the teacher was looking at me. No, I won in biology. I think it was biology. Well, I wasn't called biology back then. But I won, where you take a frog and you split it open and you have to pin all of the skin.
I didn't
on
do
a
that,
board.
but
You didn't do that?
no.
Dean, did you do that?
Not in school.
Yeah, we did that.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
everybody
We did a
does
worm,
that. Well,
too.
you went to reform school. I don't think it was part of the
See,
curriculum at
because
reform school.
What we did there is
Okay.
we sewed those frogs back up and tried to release them in the wild.
Yeah,
we felt
okay.
bad for them.
Right. Yeah, I won that whole thing with the pins.
Get
It
the
was
hell out of here.
perfect
That's
presentation.
that sounds
and we were
about you.
looking at ovaries and stuff. I don't know. But so I qualified to do studies like that for sure.
Okay.
It'd be a blast.
All
I
right.
love it. Did we pretty much butcher up your story? Dean?
Yeah, because
Okay.
the punchline there was that the drugs are actually helping them. So
That's right. I knew that. That's
Yeah.
why I'm making
That's
light
why
of it. It's
Angela
a
wants to do the
positive.
study, because Angela's going to do the drugs as well. Okay, this is good shit. Every salmon, you're good. That's right. We're all right now.
Anyways, a wonderful story that Mr. Taylor has put his heart and soul
Sorry,
into.
Dean.
And we're totally destroying it. So
Yeah,
go to
we're
fishingcanada.com, the gateway, the portal.
What
To
good
your
is
next
it? What
fishing
good is it
adventure.
doing to
Come on
salmon?
now.
Let's go one more. Let's take this one more step. What good is it doing to the salmon? Do you know?
you want to know? You don't want to make the people
Oh,
go
I
to the
was
article?
moving on to fan question of the week.
I know, I just wanna
you
know.
linger there a
Give me
little
a
bit
hint.
longer.
Well, it's 'cause
we
like-
haven't done enough damage to that. Now you want to linger a little bit, like you were not. You were not
Go
satisfied.
to fishingcanada.com. Then I'll talk to Dean afterwards. Then I'll find out.
Fan question of the week brought
Be
to you
like
by
that.
fishfindermounts.com. That's fishfindermounts.com. The folks who make all those wonderful apparatuses that you see on the Fishing Canada boat every week,
Yes.
where we hang all of our transducers and electronic devices and whatnot. Go check them out. Their website, by the way, in case you didn't know, is fishfindermounts.com.
Come on now.
It coincides with the name of the company.
Hey, that's clever.
Well,
Hey,
kill
that
two
is clever.
birds with one stone. Fishfindermounts.com. This one is submitted. Now, is this qualifying for anything, Dean?
This is qualifying for the award.
All right. It comes to us from Hurley Lock
The award.
6460 via YouTube. So, via YouTube. So he had to subscribe, happy subscriber.
Yeah, he is. He's very happy.
Wonderful. And if you're listening to this and you're not a subscriber, make us happy. Just push that subscribe button wherever you see it there. It's painless, I'm told.
Yeah.
And it helps us
Yeah.
if you want to help us.
Immensely.
Immensely.
And then some.
So we have to now determine whether this person, Hurley
Lock. He's a
has won, because
64-60.
Mr. Bowman and I have the final say on this.
I like the 6460 already. I just like that. It
like
reminds
that?
me of Van Halen, 5150. So I have to say that's good.
If he wins, Dean, what he has to take a picture and send it to us or something?
Yeah, he needs to get a hold of us, prove his identity, and then we'll give him some money.
Gotcha. He says, hey, guys, just wanted to say, first of all, love the show, of course, but these YouTube podcasts are also fantastic. Not sure if it's possible or maybe too late, of course, with planning and tourism and partner support. But would it be possible to shoot, this is interesting, would it be possible to shoot a show in every province and territory of Canada for the 40th season for the 13 shows? 13 locations, 13 shows. Would that not be the ultimate 40th? Man, would it ever. Either way, I'll watch everything you put out, LOL.
Nice.
Thank you very
Come on
much.
now.
Thank you, Hurley.
Hurley. And, it would be the ultimate. And you're not alone, Hurley, because we thought about that. We have definitely thought about that for this 40th year. We thought that would be the ultimate.
But
however,
logistics would not permit it. See,
right.
here's the problem. There are 13 weeks, 14 if you're kind of stretching it, for us to gather all of the content that goes into the series, right? There's 14. If you kind of do the number from sometime, weather permitting, sometime May-ish, end of May, early June, to September to October, there's a 14-week period. For us to travel from coast to coast and do our job, there's just not enough weeks. So 13 would be impossible. And that's why a lot of times you'll see us doing a couple of episodes from a particular region, because we're taking advantage of the travel aspect that's already in place.
last year, New Brunswick to Nova Scotia.
Exactly.
New Brunswick, yeah.
Exactly.
So
although it would be wonderful, I just don't think
it would be
happen.
wonderful. It would be perfect. But the other problem we have here, Hurley, is that our biggest sponsor is Ontario Tourism, and we're committed to 5 shows from them alone.
Yeah.
So that right there knocks the number down. Rates for other provinces. So, and we run 13 shows in that cycle. So yeah, you could run more, but you'd have to add 5 in there or 4 more in there. So it'd be a chore. That's for sure. And to be honest with you, we reach out to a lot of tourism departments, and they say, no, thank you. We don't want you for whatever reason. They are not
it's
going
not
to.
lack
They're
of
denying
trying
us.
from our people's part.
No.
We reach out to
wanna
everybody at
go.
the beginning of each year, and some place. And it's funny; it's very cyclical. You'll get some periods.
Weird.
I remember when we first started in this business, Manitoba was on fire. They were marketing, yeah, baby. They were marketing and advertising everywhere. They were telling the world, "Hey, we are in the fishing business. Come to Manitoba, Canada." And it was just a wonderful campaign for about 4 or 5 years. They bought.
They were it, man. That was the deal.
They bought it all, and then they just went dormant. Mm-hmm. And are still dormant to this day.
Yeah, in television, they put a YouTube or emphasis on YouTube, but they don't do it on the television as much. At least that we can figure out, anyways. So it's odd.
Anyways, we do the best that we can with what God gave us. Basically,
good way to end that. Yeah, absolutely. Look at you go.
All righty.
Look at you go,
now,
eh?
why did you do that? I wanted the total silence before I jumped in.
Yeah.
Main segment of the show coming up, brought to you by Sail. We're going to rename this segment, by the way. For those of you who are tired of hearing the main segment of the show.
Hey, come our listeners, maybe give us some feedback.
What a wonderful idea.
Come on now.
Did you just come up with that?
Like right there in the heat. Right in the heat, my friend.
I love it. There you go. So if you've got a name for us for the main segment of the show, our special guest each episode, please mail it into us.
Don't like main segment, eh? You just don't like that. Just not the main
it's not me.
segment.
You know me. I don't do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But we'll give you something nice. So whoever gets chosen for that, I don't know what yet, but we'll dig something up.
Wow. Maybe Sale could give him a gift certificate.
Well, speaking of which, this segment is brought to you by Sail.
Hello.
the Outdoor Superstore. Sale is home for all things outdoors, especially fishing, hunting, and such things. Tackle, clothing, footwear, so much more. If you haven't visited a sale store, please do so and get familiar with that environment, because just walking into a sale store, even if you're not buying anything,
nice.
It's just so nice. It's
You won't walk out without buying something. Trust me, I can't.
If you don't have one in your area, which we are fortunate to have here, just head on over to the old internet and go to sail.ca, SAIL.ca, and shop.
The internet.
Your
Yeah, but you don't even hear that anymore, do you?
No.
It's always
What do they call
online.
that?
It's always going online.
Go in here.
Online.
Somebody calls it the interweb. I love it. One of the TV guys.
Yeah. That's probably a Trump thing. He probably calls it that. Dumbass.
They even have sales going on right now, up to 60% off on select items. So that's all happening at Sail, SAIL. And now, the special feature. Her name is Melanie Veilleaux. She is General Manager of Hearst Air. Melanie, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Have you not been on the show before?
No,
I don't think
we
so.
talked about it, but never have.
They've been
First time.
featured on the Fishing Canada show at
TV
least
show. Few
two
times.
or three times, at least, I would say, but never on the
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, we did 2 episodes. One
We
that
did
comes
Pim
to
Island.
mind, Pim Island. Man, oh man, I know that it's not open or is opening up again. We'll talk about that in a minute. But man, what an experience that was. And
Harry Baxter.
Harry Baxter, who's no longer with us, I understand.
He was a legend.
But we've done other trips with you as well. We wanted to get you on the program today because you are, first of all, relatively unique in that you are a woman who is running a fishing fly-in operation, which I don't know off the top of my head if I know anybody else in this country that is
Betty
in that
McGee
position.
would have did that, kind of,
Yeah,
in a way, right?
Betty was, yeah, you're right. Yeah, she
There's
could
not
be-
many.
She could be the new
Betty
McGee.
Jr.
Betty
Betty
Jr.
Jr.
Betty Jr. I don't know about that. Marg Watson was known to be quite a legend.
Yeah.
She was also a pilot, which I am not, but
Yeah.
Right.
she did a really good job for a long time. She was in aviation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk to you about that experience, because you also live there at the air base. So you're there like
I do.
12 months a year. Is that home?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm always here.
Good for you.
Winter is not that bad. It's kind of nice and calm. There's a new energy to the lake. Everything's frozen, and there's still some work to do. But I've finally, after 25 years, learned to take advantage of the winter time and travel a little bit. But this is home all the time.
How far is Hearst, Ontario, for our listeners? Hearst from Toronto, let's say.
About 10, 11-hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a full day.
Yeah, it's
She's
a full day to get
but
there.
not a long day. It's a full day.
No.
Right? It's not some of those horrendous drives that we do, 14, 15.
Normally on a trip like with Mel's place, Hearst Air, you drive up to the town of Hearst and you stay overnight at a motel or a hotel or something like that, and then go to their air base the next morning. That's the way they do it. And then you fly into your destination of choice after that. So,
How many planes do you operate?
We have 2. We have a turbo beaver and a piston beaver, the regular beaver.
you used to have an otter, didn't you? Didn't you have
Yes,
a turbo
we
otter?
had a turbo otter. We've had a caravan as well.
Right.
Wow.
Those years were really busy. That wasn't just tourism. We were very busy with mining exploration as well. And we were flying year round. That was 365 days a year. So when all the exploration stopped, we kind of had to right size and go for just what we knew was going really well, which is tourism. The fly-in fishing has never stopped. So
Right.
so now we're equipped for that.
Cool.
With the prospectus on the whole Ring of Fire and whatnot, will that kind of re-energize that part of the business, you think?
Oh, you touching a soft
I know.
subject. So we were very busy with that. And I think in those days, there was a lot of exploration, a lot of hope. I won't go into my opinion on why that stopped. It's great to hear politicians once again say that things are going to get started, and I sure hope it does.
Yeah.
for somebody else. Because there's a lot of great things that can happen from it.
Absolutely.
But until someone drops 1,000 drums in our yard to haul, I won't hold my breath.
I can't even imagine that. 1,000 drums of fuel.
Insane.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Is that a realistic number, by the way, when you used to be in that business? Really?
Yeah. Well, we were doing logistics for about 4 camps year round. So like, let's say one exploration camp has a crew of drillers that they run 24 hours a day. So that's 2 crews, the helicopters, and then a cook and the staff, the geologists. And that was just one camp. So we had all of the inventory going in and out for that, groceries, all the parts, everything they needed, we supplied to them.
Holy crap.
And we did that for about 4 of them year round for a good 12 years.
Wow, that's a great business, man. You were literally brought up on an airbase. Am I assuming?
Yes,
that's right. You were a kid running around.
I was a year old.
Yeah, what a great experience! What an unbelievable.
Why did you never get your pilot's license?
Yeah,
you know what? I started in I was about 22, maybe, a while back, and I think I maybe took it for granted. It wasn't really a passion of mine to fly. And it, with the expense of it all, I thought, well, if I have money and time, I want to travel. I don't want to start flying. So I should have done it just to at least have my private, but I didn't. I never did. And I don't actually get in the planes a lot. You'd think because they're here, I'm always there, but my job is to make sure that they're going in the right places and they're full and they're doing their job, and I'm dispatching and, following them. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm around them and have the opportunity to go in if I can. Yeah. But I never did start flying.
Wow. Your brother is a licensed pilot, correct?
Yes. Yeah. He started flying. He was, I want to say 17, 18. He got his commercial license pretty young. Mm-hmm. So, he flew here his whole career. He also flew helicopters, and now he's actually a captain. He's flying in Quebec, in northern Quebec, and he just flew his 20,000th hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is kind of unheard of, but he's doing really well. And he's born a pilot. He loves it.
So was he flying people into camps at the age of 17?
When he first started, it was just cargo, really.
Okay. I was going to say it's got to be a little unnerving,
A kid like
can
that.
you imagine a kid jumping on the seat? Okay, you guys ready to go?
First, he's pulling all your shit in the plane, and you're thinking, okay, this kid's good. He's very busy as hell. Okay, push the headphones on. Get in, boys. We're going. What?
Yeah. No, he didn't have his commercial license at 17, but that's when he started.
Right.
We've had some pretty young pilots.
We have had some young ones. Yeah. The one guy where were we in Nakina Air? There was one young lad there that one time we got up there and we thought, what the hell? This guy can't be flying us in. It was a weird feeling. And he was good. He was really good.
I don't remember. I remember it was in BC, and it was a unusually long flight. Normally they're 45 minutes, half an hour and a half. But this was like a long beaver flight. And I thought he was like maybe 18 or 19 years old. And so I kind of started having some questions, right? But I was okay. Obviously, somebody put him in that seat, and I have to try. And then he started talking about the last time he crashed. So I'm thinking, holy shit! Like you're barely you're a pup, and you've already had crashes. And he was talking about this time that his plane went down. Like somebody should talk to this kid. Do not get into that conversation when you have a boat or a plane full of bodies with you.
Oh my God!
But anyways, it's a fascinating business. I've always loved it. I always thought, man, but we've heard this a million times about us, but I look at you and I say, what a wonderful life. That is just absolutely outstanding. You're there every day. You wake up with this stuff. You can hop on a plane and go into a back lake and get in a boat. Like just the dream life, right? You live it. But we get told the same thing about us. But we know that beautiful picture that I just painted, unfortunately, doesn't happen often enough.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's work.
The dream is there, but there's that everything else is there too, right? So, yeah.
Yes, my son is a good reminder to take that time, because he absolutely loves to fish and hunt and be in the outdoors. So he keeps telling me, okay, when are we going to go fishing? And unfortunately, it took a very long time before I did a fly-in with him. Wow. But again, I think it's just because it's always accessible, and at the end of the day, the pilots already have their day done. I don't want to say, hey, can we go here or there?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
That's why you need your pilot's license right there. You and the son
Exactly.
get in there and drop into a little puddle up there somewhere and crack walleye all day. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, well, that's his plan. So
Okay.
once he flies, we can go fishing.
That's it right there. Good goal.
So let's talk a little bit about the product. Obviously, you've got a variety of different fly-ins. There is no, just for people listening to this or watching this, there is no actual lodge. Mel runs an operation with how many locations do you have?
We have 7 outposts and 2 river trips.
So 7 outposts and 2 river trips. River trip is the world famous Sutton River, which we were fortunate enough a few years ago, before you got busy, that we went in on that trip, and my God, it was absolutely breathtaking. But so what happens is you go to Mel's operation. Obviously, you book in advance, but you drive to a 10-hour drive from the GTA, and you load the plane up, and they take you into this incredible little piece of wilderness that's all yours for the 3, 5, 7 days that you have booked, and they drop you off, unload the plane, and say, see you later.
Yeah, you bring your food, you bring everything you need like that, and pillows or sleeping bags if you want to bring all that kind of stuff, beer. Everybody's got to bring their beer in. But like Ann says, it's basically like going to the cottage with no other cottages anywhere near around you. You know what
Flying
I mean?
into a cottage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
kind of different like that, and it's a great environment. You're on your own schedule. That's the nice part about the outpost cabins, is that you are totally on your own schedule. If you guys want to do supper at 7:00 after a day of fishing, or early and then go out fishing in the evening, it doesn't matter. Just whatever you guys want to do. Somebody wants to do one guy is another. Do with that too. So,
have you got different levels of quality in these camps? Like, do you have a first class experience, a mid range, and then a budget experience? Like, how would people determine where to go?
Well, I would like to think that they're all first class. And
There you go. Perfect. Good answer.
No, they're very. We've kept everything very basic. Everything is very rustic, basic. We find that our clientele really appreciates going in and really having the opportunity to take care of themselves.
Right.
The other thing we ran into is if we start looking at providing more in the camp, you really have to make sure that it really works. So if I say, there's going to be a shower and electricity and I don't know what else that people would start wanting to have, but that takes more maintenance, and that means more staff and more flying to maintain those. So then the cost of your trip really goes up. The more often you got to fly in there to service everything, the more the cost for the fishermen is going to go up. So, we've had long timers, we've had new guys, and I'll often ask them, what would you see having at the camp? And obviously a lot of people would appreciate a shower or a toilet or this and that, but they also appreciate not having to pay a lot more, which, there are outfitters that have decided to go that way, and that's great. Some people can afford that.
Yeah.
But, we've kept the camps in a position where we're able to provide quality fishing to everyone, not just the guy who can pay the extra.
yeah,
That's a good
But
point.
it's affordable to everybody.
yeah. Let's let everybody know what Mel was talking about there. So, it's not like you can't wash yourself. You can go in the lake, bring a bar of soap, and you can jump in the lake and clean yourself. You know what I mean? You're not gonna, you know. And then there's also, you can't hold your shit in for 10 days. They have an outhouse there too, so you gotta remember there's some basics there. But that's all part of the game. So, but a lot of times you see, you know, guys won't go in there. They won't even jump in the lake because the lake may be a bit cool or something. So I'll stink for 5 days and go home, sort of thing like that. But you bring a bar of soap, you can just jump in, find the sandbar, or Quonset Lake, they had a sandbar. We went over there and had a riot up there. So a little swim in there. So.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, and I think you probably, when folks contact you or you're at the various trade shows, consumer shows, and talking to them, I'm sure that you tell them what it is that they're getting into, right? Because I think a lot of people might not know. Yeah. They just think, oh, great.
That's exactly it.
It's only, you know, X number of dollars. Wow, great price. Let me book it. And then 6 months, 8 months later, they drive up to Hearst and all of a sudden they find out, oh, really? Yeah. Right. So I'm sure you have to do a good job at really detailing that this is truly a wilderness experience. This is the place where somebody that's listening to this program that's never been in the outback and has always fantasized about, you know, living off the land. This is the type of trip where you can really push yourself to the limit to see exactly how far you can take it, right? Because you can isolate yourself from the rest of the planet for 3, 5, 7 days. Maybe more. I don't know whether you offer longer trips or not, but you are truly disconnected from the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. And when you come out from an experience like that, you know, first of all, what you think of is survival. Man, I did it. I actually did it. You know, a lot of people come back and it changes their life because they had doubts that they could ever survive something like that because we're so spoiled. We are. You know, we don't even realize how spoiled we are as humans.
Are we ever?
So it takes a trip into one of these outback lakes to really, really see that. And it's great. I think it's fantastic. As long as people know what they're getting into. Because you also have a lot of greenhorns that would go into a place like that. And boy, it would be, I can see complications arising pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. It'd be nice to have at least one experience. Go ahead, Mel.
I think that's one of my biggest challenges is I'm having a hard time giving the booking process to my website and getting online fully. Just exactly for that reason. So if someone goes on the site and then they say, okay, this looks interesting, I'm going to go from this date to this date, and then they book, and I don't get to speak to them, I'm afraid that they're not going to be finding the experience that they want. Whereas if I'm on the phone, because I'm the one answering every day and answering emails, then I can get a feel of what their experience is already and what they're expecting, and making sure that they're put in a position where they're going to want to come again.
Yeah.
This happened just yesterday, actually. Someone talked about the Sutton River and going up with a young child. And he said, well, is the river, you know, slow enough that if I had to, I could paddle on my own? I thought, well, if you're already thinking of doing a 10-day paddle on your own because you have a child in your canoe, this is not the place you want to go. So you need to discourage that kind of stuff too. So it's very demanding, obviously, because it's a lot of conversations and it's a lot of phone calls. But I think it is important, like you said, to prepare them and to make sure that they're going to get the best experience out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you've got folks who've been coming there for years who are, you know, we'll call them seasoned veterans, and they
love it.
They look forward to that opportunity. So it kind of checks off boxes for both types of people. People who want that first time experience of true wilderness survival, and people who do it on a regular basis. They just can't wait to get back into it. You mentioned something earlier on about, you know, the fewer amenities, the less maintenance involved, and less, you know, costs in terms of that. And I thought about that, man, that's bang on, because in our experiences with any of the flyins, not just yours, but any of the outback flyins, there really isn't, the only thing that can go wrong is nature, right? Mother Nature. That can be a bit of a bummer. If you fly into one of these places for whatever that length of time is, and nature decides to piss on you
Rain
for
5 days.
like that is a real.
That would be a bummer.
Even then, you can take the opportunity to embrace it, and
We'd still go fishing.
Oh, we would go fishing.
It wouldn't matter. So
guys
I'm
would be
sure all the
playing
boys would be
cards and,
there'd be a lot of
cabins.
card time.
Yeah.
The other thing in these camps, most of these camps, anyways, and I believe Mel's are the same way. They have a stove in there and they have a fridge in there as a rule, right, Mel? And they're on a
That's
propane,
right.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're thinking you're going in with none of that. You got to remember that's there, so you can cook on the stove, or you can build a fire out front and do that. But cooking on the stove is one of the main things for your breakfast and heating your coffee up and stuff like that. And the fridge, you can keep all your food stays well in the fridge, and these things work great. These propane fridges and stoves work great. So,
would it be out of the question to
yes.
to fly in? No, you're talking about porcelain, and I'm not even going to go there.
No, I'm not.
But to me,
We can go there, Ed.
I know. But by the way, Mel was great last time we worked with her. She knows my little phobia. So they had a nice little Angelo signature bucket with a toilet seat on it.
The Angelou.
The Angelou.
The Angelou, yes.
Bring me the bucket. I'm going for a poop.
That was fantastic. I thank you for that.
That was good.
A generator, a little portable generator, could that not be put on the plane and then brought back out
for
on
sure.
the plane? I mean, that.
Yeah, a lot of people do bring them.
They do, huh?
A lot of people, they bring small generators.
They bring their
especially
own?
for CPAPs.
Do they
yes,
bring
they
their own?
bring their own.
Ah, okay.
The problem with that, of course, is fuel, right? They have to bring.
Yeah, I mean they don't take a lot. A lot of people bring them for CPAPs.
Right.
Yes, we did too.
At night.
Stevie.
Yeah. There are some really, really nice solar kits now where one small little folding panel and a string of lights, that kind of thing. That sets up really easily in the camp. A lot of these guys are already have cottages. They're hunters, they're fishermen, they've got ATVs, they're used to being in the forest and camping. So they come really well equipped with that kind of stuff. Again, if we can provide a generator, if you rent it, we have some, so we make sure that it's there and ready. The only thing with that I find is as soon as you set up a generator, now they want to plug in their phones and a speaker and boombox and this and that. And now they're not fishing. They're not out by the campfire, and they're not. If that's really what you want, then this is not the place for you.
So for us, that's not the case. We need a generator. You would think it would be for some of those. No, you would think it'd be for cameras. That's what I was going to say. Charging our cameras. It's not. We need a generator because one of our members has a real issue at night. When he closes his eyes and goes to sleep, he turns into a bear, a grizzly bear. And a funny story about the last time we were up at one of your camps.
Yeah, some funny to everybody else, not so much to us.
Oh, my God. Anyway, so we had the generator, as you know, and everything was cool, because there's no way in hell we would have got in there without a generator so that he could plug his Darth Vader mask on. And it was fine. First day it was good. First night it was fine. And then something happened. What was it? Oh, ran out of gas. In the middle of the night, the generator ran out of gas. And oh my God, those little cabins are very quaint most of the time. But when you hear the howl of a grizzly bear in the middle of a small little cabin like that with 6 guys,
and let me tell you, I'm going to add something. Northern Ontario is very dark at night.
My God.
It's like the darkest of dark that you will be in. Yeah. Oh God.
Oh, that was scary.
Oh my God. He rolled. Stevie was in the middle of the 3 bedrooms, and everybody in the whole place. We woke up in shock. We said, "What the hell is going on?" Because you're getting a nice sleep, and the generator's sound in the background is beautiful, and everything's just going so nice, and then silence, and the bear jumps in there. Oh my God, he shocked the hell out of us, that one. Sorry guys, I'll go put some gas in that. Then he went to gas it up, and he put his bug net on or something, and his zipper was undone, and the mosquitoes annihilated him. Oh God, it was great.
Yeah, you guys had the true test of the North in 1 week.
Yeah, that was the bug week. Yeah,
we had those giant horseflies. Like
I don't want to laugh, but
a gazillion of them. When we got up there, we may have told you this, but I forget pretty much everything I say to anybody anyway, so I'll repeat myself. So when we first got up there, Mel, and we unloaded everything and got things set, and we noticed there was some bugs, it wasn't a big deal. We were used to that stuff. and then we carried stuff down to the boats that were at the dock. And the first thing we noticed was inside the boats, you know how a prisoner will mark 111 and then cross for 5 days so he knows how many days, right? Well, inside the boats, they had a series of these little 1111/111, and we thought, oh man, the fishing! Look how good the fishing
These are
is
all
up here.
30-inch plus
These are
walleye
all
and
big,
40-inch
huge
pike.
walleyes. The guys to keep count, just to see how many they were catching a day. Every day they must have, done this, and we thought, wow, this is great! I can't wait to get out there. And of course, now we're swatting bugs, and they're starting to annihilate us. And it wasn't until later on that day that we figured out what those were. Those were kills. Those were bug kills that the guys that were in there before us marked down. They wanted to see just how many do I have to kill. It was crazy.
We hit her bad. That 1 week of bad for
my
sure.
God. How often does that happen, Mel? Or what?
Those are peak times. They're hatches.
Yeah.
And you were right in it.
Is that
Plus the heat.
Luckily,
Plus
we
the
had-
heat, if I remember correctly.
yeah,
you guys
yeah,
had
yeah, yeah.
extreme
It
heat,
was
the
hot.
forest fires.
Exactly.
So you have the smoke.
But
Yeah,
we were
we
lucky to have a dragonfly
Oh.
hatch going on too at that time, and the dragonflies kept us sane. Around our camp, they were eating the horseflies. It was
that's
it was
great.
insane. It was neat to see actually.
But that in itself is an experience, right? That we turn that into a positive, because to see how nature works like that was just absolutely amazing. Because the sky would be just filled with these flies, and then all of a sudden, a couple of times a day, a swarm of these big giant dragonflies would come into camp. And it was so cool to watch. And those are the experiences.
impressive.
Yeah, those are the experiences that only a place like yours can give people. Because you'd never catch that anywhere else, guaranteed. But that moment, even though, the flies were a big issue, a big problem, but when that happened, the flotilla of these giant dragonflies would come in and start munching on them. It was magic.
And we noticed, you would not notice the bugs around you anymore.
No.
When they came in, man, those bugs took the hell off. They did not like those guys hanging around. And they're so efficient feeders too. You could literally watch them catch them in the air. It was like so cool.
It was great. And then we had the forest fires, Mel, at that time, remember?
Yeah.
How did that ever turn out? Because we were just leaving as I think the fires were starting to get a little closer to Quants. Did it stop there?
Yes, we were very fortunate through those two years of forest fires. None of the camps got touched. It was really the only issue was smoke, obviously.
Yeah. Right. That last day we were there.
Yeah. The terrain here is very, very flat, but also very wet. And anything, I'd say 70 miles north of us is past the tree line. So there are forest fires, but they don't last. There's nothing to feed on. There's nothing for them to get going on. So we were really lucky with that. South of us, they got hit.
Yeah.
West, obviously, and in Quebec. So that was sad. We got lucky.
How's it shaping up for this year?
Good.
Obviously, you got a lot of snow during the winter, like the rest of the country.
Yeah, there's lots of snow. I wouldn't say that we're at a norm. It's still a little bit below normal. It was definitely more than last year, though, which is really good because the lakes and rivers were very, very low. It's hard on the pontoons.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening right now. A lot of maintenance on the airplanes, on the floats. That meant that there were some docks that we couldn't get to. Sometimes you can't get right to shoreline when you're dropping people off. The camps have docks, but when you're dropping people off on a lake where there's no dock or rivers, then you can't get to shore.
Right.
And there were some moose hunts that we weren't able to do too because there's just not enough water to land. So we're looking forward to a lot more water this year, which will be good.
Yeah, and that should bode well for the forest fire issues as well, I'm thinking. If you have,
we should, yes, hopefully. Yeah.
Mel,
but no, the bookings are good.
Good.
Mel and I had a chat, and Ange, I never got to talk to you about this yet, but do you want to talk about the Attawapiskat river trip?
Of course.
Okay, tell it, because this sounds like this is right up our alley. This is cool. Tell everybody what you're going to offer here.
All right. So everybody knows about the Attawapiskat. It's kind of has made a reputation for itself, which you have witnessed. Mm-hmm. unfortunately, we did kind of slow down on the camp that we were using at Pim Island for a few years, but we really want to start fishing the river again. So the Sutton River is another really popular one for us. And I mean, I could book that 3 or 4 years in advance. It's the type of trip that, you know, even if, again, we're not offering, you know, quality accommodations and fancy chefs and that kind of thing. It's the fishery that people want to go to. And that's what I want to really emphasize on the Attawapiskat. So we want to do a river trip, a custom river trip on the Attawapiskat, and provide the vessels, like the boats. We have 2 different types of boats people could use. And then they'll be drifting the river for approximately 40, 45 miles. We'll drop off at Pim and pick them up a little bit further north. So hopefully get people back in and fishing and having a very, very unique experience.
And that'll be a multiple day trip, right? So you're going to have little areas where they can camp at night, where they stop off and camp at night. And you've got
That's right.
The girl you were telling me about that's going to be working with
Yes.
you possibly. She sounds excellent at that.
Yeah, we have a young girl here, Mylène Graton Coulombe. She's only, I want to say 24. I'm hoping I'm getting that right. She's only about 23 or 24 years old. But since she was 14 or 15, she's been coming around and guiding and snowmobiling and fishing and hunting. She's a moose hunter as well with her father. And now she's giving services and she's an outfitter herself. So I've brought her to the shows with me and we're looking at doing this river trip with her as well. So if someone does want a guide, then she could go in before the guests. Then as you're drifting down the river, she could go up and set up camp. So once you get to that campsite, fire's going already, she's getting the meals ready, and you can really concentrate just on the fishing. So there'll be a way to do it as a DIY, and there'll be a way to do it as a guided trip as well.
That's cool, eh? Doesn't that sound great?
Wow, we fished that river, and I got to tell you, it fishes very well, extremely well. You're going to do, once you open, when are you opening that up, that opportunity up?
Well, we're hoping to start that this year.
Okay.
We're going to go in and set up a few sites that are a little easier to settle into, but we're thinking the trip will take a week.
Yeah.
They'll start in June this year, and maybe a few weeks of fall fishing because the pike get really nice and aggressive in the fall.
Yeah, that'd be a
too.
great fall trip. Oh God, how cool would that
For
be?
folks who are into pike fishing
And walleye. There's good walleye there
walleye,
too.
yes.
Yeah, but you know, if I was selling it to somebody, if I was trying to promote, market this to somebody, I would say the walleye are great because you can have shore lunch, you can have them for dinner, breakfast, whatever, because every time you put a line in the water, you're going to get a walleye if you're walleye fishing. But it's still, to this day, all things considered, probably one of the best northern pike fishing that
we've had in Ontario.
In Ontario, for sure.
Yay.
But they're not just big fish. They're not just angry, gnarly, aggressive pike. But the environment that they live in makes them even
that river's so
seem
cool.
more insane.
Yeah,
Every one of them.
And it's a nice, slow, meandering river for the most part, right? It's not like this raging. There are rapid areas. And Harry took us to that one spot there for walleye that one time.
Cool.
But for the most part, it's just a nice, meandering river that you can stop the boat and cast. And perfect for pike, for sure. You know what I mean? So
Topwater. Remember the topwater pike?
I remember, here's one of the best memories I got out of our Hearst, Pim Island Hearst trip, was we went into one of the bays, Mel, not too far from your camp, Back Bay, and Ange and I were in the boat. We were shooting, and Ange pulled out those water wolf, an 8 or 10 inch giant tube, and he says, "I wonder." And I looked at him and I says, "Oh my God, you are nuts, mister." And he took this bomb of a cast, and I'll remember this forever. It was all calm like that, and when that thing hit the boom, and hit the water and splashed like a friggin' rock. And I thought, good, you just scared every fish in the friggin' lake away. And all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, his tube was going sideways. Boom, and he cracks up with a 40-inch pike on the first cast of that.
And then it was just pike after pike. It's almost like this bait was calling them.
Yeah, it was
right. That's what I mean.
crazy.
These fish are insane. Those pike in that river, for whatever reason, they are totally oblivious to. People think that when you go into the wilderness and go fishing for fish that aren't usually fished for, if you're the only person in that week or every couple of weeks into that, you think that those fish, they call them stupid because they're not exposed to humans. But actually, those fish are a lot more in tune with their environment. So any little sound, anything that's not normal, they key in on it. And in most places, it makes it tough as anglers. But I got to tell you, and that's why I say those fish there are insane. Because when we went to PIM, I swear that every time we made more noise, like the case that Pete just mentioned, throwing a 5-pound chunk of rubber into the bay, they ran for it. They came to you.
But the wakes,
Remember the wakes looked like gators.
Yeah.
So
they're
cool.
very aggressive.
Oh,
so cool.
And the walleye are like that too. The guys were hitting walleye on top water lures.
No.
Yeah, see, that's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
that's
unheard of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Now,
aggressive.
how do you deal with the safety aspect of a trip like that? Though, I mean, it's one thing flying people into a camp and they go out on their day trips with tin boats and stuff.
Yeah.
But to drop them off, at the headwater and then have them float down and pick them up down at the end, how do you deal with that from a safety aspect? Or is there a concern for that?
As far as I'm concerned, I think it's the same thing as when I get a call for, paddlers that just want transportation. We're kind of a water taxi as well, or air taxi if you want. People that choose to do something like this are coming in with experience, and that also goes in with the conversation that I have. The paperwork that I prepared for that also mentions, like, you need to come in with experience and really remind people that if something should happen, we're not just 20 minutes away. So we saw that with Pim Island too. Even with guided trips, a lot of guys would say, "Oh, I don't need a guide. I know how to fish a river and I've done this and that." Well, it's not that kind of place. You do have to know what you're doing. I think the other thing that I feel good about is I'm really trying to sell this as a drift trip.
Right.
I don't want them boating. I want them fishing. So the idea is not to go fast because you're going to go by, they should be hitting every single weed bed, every single outcrop. That's what they're supposed to be doing in those 7 days. So they're drifting and fishing. Whereas if you put them in a boat with a 15 horsepower motor and going through rapids, that kind of thing, I think that would be a little more dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But that's the intention, is to really, find those guys who have done trips already, and it's kind of a do it yourself.
Do they bring?
wanna go.
Do a lot of them bring sat phones with them, or Garmin inReaches or anything like that? They do. Yeah, it's a good idea to do that.
They have the inReach. I've actually gotten rid of all my sat phones. They're very, very expensive. Not going to be a good spokesperson for a satellite phone, but the inReach is good. And I've got these Zolios now that pairs with the cell phones. Yeah. They're very, very good. It's kind of a little satellite device. Yeah. And then you can text back and forth with the Zolio or with your cell. Cool. So those are a lot better. Do
you still have those big, wonderful canoes at PIM then that you're going to use for this, or how are you going to deal with that?
No. So there are, the idea is to get the family back into Pim Island. They want to work on the camp and spend some time there, work on the properties. Once they are all settled in and ready to go, then they could offer some guiding services as well. But we just want to take our time in getting that going again.
Nice.
So the freighter canoes will be at the camp with them. What we're going to offer for this trip is there's two different things. We've got a 14-foot porta boat, which is actually a foldable boat, which we feel is going to be a good option. There's a nice anchoring system at the front end. You're able to bring a small engine, maybe up to 6 horsepower on it. We will supply the gas for that. And the other one is it's a company out of North Carolina, I believe. It's called a Greenfin. It's an inflatable boat, and it's got a nice solid bottom on it. They do say it's for 2 men, but if you're fly fishing and fishing out of it, I don't think it would be perfect for 2. But we also have them. that are really nice on the river, again, with an anchoring system and a small motor. So
That would be
people will
insane.
have their choice.
That'd be cool.
Oh my God, that'd be the best.
And that anchoring system is exactly what it sounds like. When you're drifting, boom, you see a good spot, like Mel says, a weed bed, boom, you drop the anchor, and then you work it, then you lift it up, and you start either rowing or if you bring a motor. They have to bring their own motor in, though, right, Mel? You're not going to supply the motors, correct?
That's the way we're going to start it. Yes.
Good idea.
That's a safe
Real
idea.
good
I like that.
I like
Smart.
that.
That's smart thinking, for sure.
Now, my colleague about a half hour ago, and I just let it fly, but we'll go back to it now. He said that what the type of trip that you offer, these fly-in trips, you just you drive there and unload, and you can bring all of your stuff. And he mentioned pillows, and he mentioned his little teddy bear, and he mentioned like everything. But I want to talk about that for just a minute, because that must be a nightmare for you when that happens. Somebody drives up from the city and they got a van full of goodies.
I
that
can't
they
bring
want to
Ted in?
No, you can't.
Imagine if you had Ted, the Ted movie bear in. Oh, my God. I'll pay to have him there.
Talk to us about that, because that's got to be one of your biggest nightmares.
Well, I think it's no longer a nightmare. We used to be able to, or not to be able to, we used to try and really limit people and saying, you shouldn't bring this stuff.
Right.
Now, I really don't mind if they come in with an extra trailer, because they're paying for an extra flight.
Oh,
We're in the
okay.
business of
All right.
flying.
All right.
But the idea is to really make them understand that the cost that they're paying includes 100 pounds of gear per person based on a body weight of 220 pounds.
Okay.
The reason
can
we
bring my
added
bear.
the body weight thing, that's why you get an extra couple of cases of beer.
Girl, Mel, thank you. You see my logic.
That's right. The reason we do that is we do have a lot of American guests as well. And you can imagine that the average fisherman is not 220 pounds. Right. So even if they were within their weight limits, we still ended up having to do an extra flight just because there were too many. The body weight is excessive.
Right.
But then we're paying for that. Like the flying is just getting, it's a lot. Insurance is going up. The cost of maintenance is going up. The salaries are going up. When it comes to aviation and flying in, the costs are really going up. So that's why we've been a little bit more strict on saying, look, here's what your price includes, 100 pounds of gear, which is, it's doable.
Yeah,
you can do it.
It is.
If they want to bring more, I'm more than happy to offer them an extra flight, which they pay for. And honestly, I'd say like 25% of them will gladly pay an extra flight. Then they don't have to worry about how much they bring in, especially the beer drinkers, obviously.
Oh, yeah. We've got a great story, which we won't share with you today. And it happened at one of your camps.
Yeah.
A friend of ours had an extra plane flown in just for that.
I think I know that, friend.
Yes, years ago.
She knows him.
Yes, sir.
So it does happen. It does happen for sure.
Yeah. So
hey,
yeah,
if you wanna pay.
I think there's a lot of things that people can look at with that, and I like being able to tell them there's little tricks on saving weight, planning your menus, and when we do shows like yours, and we've had other shows here, I think that's what I try and get them to say is, look, guys, you can do a really good trip like this. Just be conscious of your weight limits so you're not paying more. And again, it's the idea that we want to keep it affordable for everybody to be able to do this.
Right.
A trip to, where were you guys? Quants.
Yeah.
Right now, an extra trip is almost $3,000
Wow.
just for that extra flight. So 6 guys paying an extra $3,000 just for extra beer and food and
Yeah.
I
wonder,
Yeah,
I bet
choice.
you there's a lot of, there is still a lot of guys that will do that, though. There'd be this 4 or 5,
There
6
is.
guys. They'd say, hey, well, I don't give a shit. This is our lifetime trip. Let's bring an extra plane of good steaks and everything else and all kinds of extras.
Generator. and all that stuff.
Yeah. So,
But, to truly experience something like Quants, or obviously the Sutton, which takes it to a whole other level, you kind of have to wean yourself off of all of those conveniences,
no teddy bear?
No, You can
He doesn't weigh much.
You can snuggle up to my hairy back. How's that?
Oh, that's a grizzly bear. I didn't want to sleep with a marmot. I wanted to sleep with a teddy bear.
I think that's definitely something you can't even put in a brochure, because when you're thinking, you said it right, the conveniences. We're so used to having them that we think they're necessities.
Right.
But those are not essential items.
Good point.
And when you strip down from all that and you're in this most beautiful, wild, natural place, and you don't have to worry about handling and the logistics of bringing your this and in and out and charging this, then you can truly experience it for what it is and get rid of that need for things. We have so much stuff that we don't need.
We're bad for that. I mean, we go on the, like, if anybody has got experience at packing, we do, and even so,
I brought my teddy bear last time to your place, but he brought a cappuccino martini machine or whatever like that.
That's right.
Out in the wild. So,
but even us, we find ourselves in these places.
look at it. He perked up. The only thing I've said this whole thing, he perks up when I said martini, cappuccino martini. Oh my God.
We say, why did we bring that? But you have this thing that you can't be without your possessions, right? But to really experience any of Mel's trips, you really got to strip it down.
You do.
You got to strip it down, and you got to challenge yourself to survive. Because I think the best part of these trips is the survival element,
including food here. If you're thinking about it, you should do it in that we're going to spend 2 suppers with walleye, and you're going to go out, you're going to have to catch. So don't bring those 2 nights, you won't have enough food, so that you're going to catch them. I guarantee you're going to catch pike or walleye in these lakes. They always have them, the eater size especially, but that's what you do, is you bring it into that sense and say, okay, there's 2 suppers are dedicated for walleye, and you'll have some sandwiches, walleye sandwiches the next day and all that. But, it's another way of paring down on your weight and food and stuff like that. So
Good point. Mel, any openings this year? Can people still get a hold of you? Can they still get into some of these camps? Yeah. So
we've got spots for all kinds of them. Some of them are a little closer, so the price ranges vary with the distance of where the lakes are. But all of them are outpost camps, one single cabin per lake, and we've got room for some trophy pike destinations, some great walleye trips.
Nice.
Paddling.
Can you give us just a price range of what they could expect?
Sure. I brought that. Surprisingly, I don't know these by heart. So if you want to do the quickest way you could do it is, let's say 4 guys for a half week. So Saturday to Wednesday, you're looking at around $1,300 per person, tax in. That's your flight in and out, the cabin, boats, motors, and gas.
Wow.
They just need to bring their sleeping bag and fishing gear and food.
Wow.
And then if they go for a full week, a group of 4, you're looking at $1,900 per person, tax in. Those are the closer lakes.
Yeah.
Okay. Closer in what? Give me a sense of what, a half-hour flight?
About a 30-minute flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30-minute flight. And those lakes are really good for a lot of pickerel. Every once in a while, they're catching a big pike, but they're easy lakes. They're good for numbers, great for groups of 4 to 6, 8 people. And then you've got Quants, where you guys were. Yep. So let's say a full week there. A little better for 6 guys. Full week looking at $1,600.
Wow, that's a bargain.
Yep.
That's a bargain and a half. I think we might send our cameraman Vova there just to. When's the peak fly bite again? When was that? I think we're going to send him there.
Look back at our records.
Hey, just
that was in June. That was in June.
Okay.
In June.
June is really bad for black flies.
Vova is he's from the Ukraine, and he does not like our Canadian bugs.
Yes.
Any type of them, Mel. Anything, if they fly, he's not real happy with them. Like, he's not impressed.
Sorry, Boba.
You should have seen him at the camp. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Anyways, we could talk with you all day, obviously, Mel. Really appreciate you taking the time and joining us. Wish you nothing but the best of seasons ahead. And
Thank you.
if we'll send people your way. Anybody that's looking for. Now that I know you still have some openings, which is usually what the problem is.
Sure.
This time of year, people say, "Boy, I'd like to go on one of those, real adventure fly-in trips." And I say, "Well, what year did you want to do it?" Because they always think that you can just pick up a phone and book these things, right? But if we do get some calls, we'll direct them your way for sure. And we'll call you on that PIM floating trip. I think that might be something. Do you quickly want to tell folks about the Sutton River adventure?
Oh, sure, of course. The Sutton is an easy one. That one there you can do with the natives. The Chuckamola family can guide people. So if you don't want to do the whole river alone and deal with the polar bears, you can do a guided trip with them and still get to excellent fishing. It doesn't matter how you do this trip. The fishing is tremendous. And then obviously there's the typical float where we drop off at Holly Lake, which is the beginning of the Sutton. And then you paddle all the way to the bay. That's the Hudson Bay. And we pick you up there 7 to 10 days later.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's there's the sea run specs, and then there's the native specs, right? In that river, and you can target both. Yeah. What a
wow. That's an adventure.
That's those once in a lifetime adventures for sure. How many people how does it work?
I'd say, the season's short. So typically by the end of July, the 23rd or 24th of July, Albert, who has a camp up there, he'll say, okay, well, the sea run are inland, so they're catching them all the time. So we start the very end of July into the first week of September. And September is still really good, but then the is tough. And it's coastal weather, right? That's the sea. So that's our window, end of July into first week of September. And we try and stagger all the groups where you're not following each other. You're not struggling. Plus it's a trout fishery. You don't want to put too many people up there. So I'd say 50 to 60 people max. Wow.
And
50
and no wonder it's so booked so far in advance, because it is truly an experience of a lifetime. To drift the Sutton River, I mean, there's a handful of rivers on the planet that have that stature that the Sutton River has, and so to have one here in your backyard, man.
And that would be fly fishing and gear fishing. There's no restrictions up there.
That's right.
Right on.
The only restriction is single barbless hooks, but you can fly fish. It's the best place to try and fly fish, even if you've never fly fished before.
Right.
You're definitely going to be successful. Or spinners. It really doesn't matter. They are. It's very unique for the quantity of big fish.
Yeah.
And colorful, bright. Oh my God. Anyways, getting all excited about that now. But how far in advance would somebody have to call you for a trip to the Sutton?
I possibly have 2 spots left for next year. But I do have to say, unfortunately, I had 2 groups that canceled for this year, which is unheard of. So if someone is looking for this year and has dreamt it up, then I do have spots for this year.
Wow, that's rare, people. For people listening, that's Mel always says. We say, Mel, when can we shoot that? I don't need you guys to advertise that. I'm overbooked for 2 years. Come on, like always.
So there you go. If you're listening to this or watching this, and you have the means and capability of making decisions like that, that is an opportunity of a lifetime. So contact Hearst Air, talk to Melanie, and get in on that opportunity, because that is fantastic. Good stuff. Mel, thank you so much. Have yourself a
contact. How about contact? Anything you have, any special numbers or anything that the people can get a hold of you?
Sure. The toll-free number is 866-844-5700. And the website, hearstair.com. You can email. Before I leave you, I do want to say, with everything that's going on with borders and travel and uncertainty, I would ask, as we do have a lot of Canadians, but to remind the Canadians that there are a lot of places they can come in for a vacation in Ontario and close to home. So do kind of have your staycations and utilize that.
Good point.
But call absolutely anytime.
Wonderful.
Good point.
And the next time we see you up at your place, that guitar that's sitting in the corner, we want it. Okay. We want to hear it played. Okay.
All righty. I'll work on that.
Thanks, Mel. You take care of yourself.
Thank you, guys.
See you, Mel.
Hearst Air, legendary. Obviously, Mel is second or third generation of ownership.
Correct.
Of Hearst Air. It's been around.
Yeah.
Red Fisher.
He did Hearst Air?
He did Hearst Air.
No way.
Yeah.
With George, probably, right?
Yeah,
I would think.
with Mel's dad, George.
Wow.
It's legendary. Just
Yeah.
as soon as you drive into that operation, you know there's history there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can feel it. You can
Yeah.
scrape it off of things. It's just a
And it's a
fantastic
slick
experience.
operation. When you go in there, you're not. There's no little rinky-dinky little thing. I mean, they've got a good setup there. It's very impressive. So they do a great job, and they access some great water, great fishing for sure. So
Pim, I'm excited to go back to. That one
that'll
would
be a neat trip. That
one would
the
be,
river trip,
would
eh?
be
That'd be cool.
The Sutton, in as much as it's sexy, right? The Sutton is just one of those. From our perspective, from a shooting perspective, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's tough. Glenn Carr and Reno and I did that back in. It had to be the late '80s, and. First of all, we had all our food stolen, but that's a whole other issue. But
were you eating brook trout? Did you have to eat trout?
I had to.
No.
Came back, everything's gone.
Oh my God.
So, anyways, that was a wonderful experience. But the other ones that Mel's talking about, give them a try. Hearst, we can guarantee you one thing. We can't guarantee you the fishing is going to be great. We can't guarantee you that you won't be bug infested. We can't guarantee you that it won't rain or blow or whatever. But what we can guarantee you is that the service that Mel and her team offers is
Memorable.
to none. Next to
Obviously.
none.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Very good.
That or it. Anything we need to add in here last minute, Dean? Or are we good?
One of you has a bonus code in front of you. I think it's you, Ange.
I happen to have this week's bonus code right there.
Come on now.
And that bonus code, whoa, like this takes a lot of work to get all this connection.
Wow.
How does he do that?
Connectivity.
How do they do that in our department?
I don't know. This week's bonus code is float plane. Float plane. FLOATPLANE. If you take that and type it into the bonus code section of our contest page, you will receive not one, not two, not three,
How's about 10? Let's give him 10.
10
Whoa.
free bonus code entries.
Wow.
Wow.
That or it, Dean. I think I'm done now, huh, Dean?
Yeah, that's it.
Can I go to lunch?
Yeah, I think we can go to lunch.
On behalf of the entire crew, Bova there, who was trembling when I said we were going to send him up the Quants Lake.
He did
by
not
himself.
like it. He was doing
Oh,
the
no.
reeling, the hand there. That finger was on his way up.
Nick, he was there the whole show.
Nick perked up with a martini.
The
Todd.
martini kinda woke him up, right?
Cappuccino martini.
And of course, our illustrious producer, Dean Taylor.
Come on now.
He's Peter Bowe, and I'm Angela Veilleaux. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you next time. This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio has been brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Centre, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. And Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures.